Hey guys, it's Mark from Coaster Dash, and today is the day that I will be reading off all the questions and comments that I received for my Q&A video that I will be doing to celebrate 5,000 subscribers on this channel. It's an absolutely amazing milestone. I wanted to thank all of you just for subscribing to the channel, showing your support over time. It really means the world to me, and the channel's just grown so fast, and it's really surreal. As well as that, I received hundreds of questions and comments across YouTube and Instagram, so I'll try to get to as many as I possibly can, but I won't be able to do every single one. There are simply too many of them, and also a lot of the questions are repeats of what other people asked, so I'm going to try to answer as little of the similar questions as possible, but I will try to mention as many of you guys as I possibly can. We're going to start on Instagram because that's where I received the least amount of questions. I still got a pretty good chunk, but that's where I got the least, so we're going to start on Instagram. So without further ado, I hope you guys enjoy the Q&A. I'm going to be reading off my mom's phone. I have all the questions pulled up here across the platform, so here we go. Starting things off, we've got SATX Coasters, who asks, what are your top 5 bucket list coasters? So for a lot of the questions I've received, I actually have videos already answering a lot of them, especially for like my opinions on specific rides and what my bucket list rides are. But I still will repeat them because I'm sure not all of you have watched every single one of my countdown videos. In terms of my top 5 bucket list coasters, I had it listed as 1, Eejanaika at Fuji-Q Highland, as well as Dinoconda at China Dinosaurs Park. 2 was Wood Coaster at Night Valley. 3, Expedition GeForce at Holiday Park. 4, Dueling Dragons at Guangzhou Sunakland, and 5, the Schwur Kärnan at Hansa Park in Germany. Next up, we have Mark the Shark 822, who asks, what is your favorite coaster experience and memory you have with a family member? So just recently, we went up to Six Flags Magic Mountain with my mom and my stepdad. His name is Hugh. I got him to ride Twisted Colossus and West Coast Racers. He wasn't feeling so good after riding them, but it was really fun to ride Twisted Colossus with him in particular. As many of you know, it's one of my favorite rides in the world. I love Twisted Colossus, and so it was really great to have him on an elite coaster with me. I've never really done something like that with him. And while it didn't make him feel the best, it was still cool to ride it with him, and, you know, he was screaming the whole time, so it was a fun memory. Plus, we're actually going to be heading up to Disney World together soon, so I'll be sure to make a ton more family memories at those parks as well. And I'm sure that a best memory will probably come out one of those rides, like riding Rise of the Resistance together, something like that. Colin Turley asks, do you like instrumental music? And if so, check out his song Assassin. I did not know you made music, but I'll be sure to check that out. So my opinion on instrumental music and just music in general, I will listen to just about any genre of music. I don't have a strong opinion towards any of them, but I will literally listen to anything. I do like instrumental music. It's not my favorite, but again, I'll listen to anything, so of course I'll check out your song. And Otter in Shades asks, how are you able to travel to so many amusement parks so often? So I get this question a lot, especially regarding my age and how I'm able to travel so much for my age. I'm currently 15, turning 16 very soon, so people are really surprised when I tell them that I've been to a bunch of parks in the US, I've been to Canada, and I'm soon going to Mexico. So people consider me pretty damn well traveled for my age. And I'd have to agree, honestly, I completely get it, and I think part of the reason is that my parents are totally for the idea of allowing me to travel to places, and they totally understand my excitement for wanting to try out new places. And as well as that, I'll get into how I fund the travels in other questions because I have very similar questions from other people as well. Coaster Videos asks, what's your favorite video that you have made? So one that specifically jumps out is my 1000 subscriber special video, which is actually a vlog compilation of all my vlogs over time up until like October 2020 or something like that. And the reason it's my favorite is because I actually take a lot of pride in my vlog series. I have vlogged at almost every park I've been to since April 2018, and while I have privated a lot of the older vlogs because I find them a bit cringe and embarrassing, it's still pretty amazing to show snippets of all my vlogs over time, seeing how much I've grown and seeing how much I've traveled a lot. It's just awesome. Jeremy the Coaster Enthusiast asks, why is your profile pic a pic of Intimidator 305 at King's Dominion? So that's a question that no one's ever asked me before, but there is a reason behind it. It is because at the time of that logo's creation, which was the first and only logo that's ever been made for my channel, my favorite coaster was actually Intimidator 305, and I guess I just haven't bothered to change it because I really love the logo. It's simplistic and it really puts meaning out there. Robbie Park says, not a question, but congratulations, you deserve this milestone. That's very much appreciated. I will not be talking about every single comment I got congratulating me because I did get quite a few of those, but regardless, I really appreciate that congratulations. HKRC Thrills says, which defunct coaster do you wish you could have ridden? So there's honestly plenty of defunct coasters I wish I could have ridden. I did get to ride Volcano, which probably would have been my number one had I not ridden it, to be honest. But because I've ridden that, I would probably say Eagle's Fortress at Everland or Batman and Robin the Chiller at Six Flags Great Adventure. Swaggertron737737 asks, what is your favorite RMC besides Steel Vengeance? That's a good question. I would probably say Iron Rattler at Six Flags Fiesta Texas, which is a phenomenal ride. Coaster Khan asks, are you planning to go to any new parks this summer? To say the least, I will be going to quite a few new parks this summer. I have so much planned. I have so many trips planned. I have so many new parks planned. It's going to be a wild summer. Blues Coasters says, may you please give my channel a shout out, it's Blues Coasters. So I usually would not do this, but definitely go subscribe to Blues Coasters. I figured, this video is all about giving back to you guys for the milestone, so of course, yeah, go subscribe to Blues Coasters. West Coast Thrill says, how was Legoland? So yeah, if you guys didn't know, I was just at Legoland, California. It's a park that's not very well documented for coaster enthusiasts that go to Southern California. Not many go. And I completely understand why. It's a ridiculously expensive park. I paid $80 to be there a couple days ago. But yeah, I'd highly recommend checking out the vlog. It's a fun little park, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So that's about it for Instagram, because I have so many to get to on YouTube. So we're going to head over to the community tab and answer the questions I received on my community post from a couple days ago. Starting things off, we've got Noah Keel, who asks, how many credits do you have? I'm currently at 241, I believe, but I expect that number to skyrocket. I promise you it will. I'm traveling so much this year. Also, who's your favorite coaster YouTuber? I think that is easily going to Airtime Thrills. Chris is a great guy in general, but his content is fantastic. He covers so many different topics and relates to countdown videos, documentaries, etc., etc. Plus, he watches a lot of my videos, comments on my videos, and shows a lot of support, which is greatly appreciated, and I see him do that with a bunch of small channels. And lastly, what's your biggest hobby outside of coasters? I'm not the most interesting person, but I would have to say travel, to be honest. Traveling across the country has been so much fun so far, and including into Canada and a little bit into Mexico, and I'm going back to Mexico this month, of course. But I also really would like to start traveling to a bunch of other countries, especially as I grow older and I'm more eligible to go to a bunch of places. There are so many countries in Europe and Asia that pique my interest in ways that relate to coasters and maybe even don't relate to coasters. I'm also pretty big on nature and architecture as well, so any country that has a load of that, then I will be sure to get there at some point in my life. Theme Park Avenue says, congratulations, here are my questions. What is your favorite Disney ride? So I've been to the 2 California Disney parks. I've also been to the 4 in Florida when I was younger, but I do not remember my experiences there. I am getting back there this June though, so this answer will be completely different in a couple months. I'm fully anticipating that it will be Rise of the Resistance soon, but I have currently not ridden it, so if we're talking about my favorite attraction at the Disneyland parks, I would probably say Splash Mountain, closely followed by Indiana Jones Adventure. He also says, what is the worst park you've been to? So that one's tricky for me to answer, and the reason I say that is because there's plenty of parks out there that are just made for different audiences, so I really have to think about this one. Maybe something like Uncle Bernie's. I mean, it's kind of like the most ratchet park I've ever been to, and it's really run down. Also, Conneaut Lake Park isn't great either. But I try to stay away from answering questions like these just because I tend to stay on the positive end of the spectrum and really look at the bright side towards a coaster or a park, even if it's not the greatest. He also says, what was your first theme park experience? To be honest, I don't even know how to answer that. My first theme park experience, I don't even know how to remember. And what park that you have plans to visit are you most excited for? That one is really tricky. It's a great question, but I would probably say it's between Six Flags Mexico, Dollywood, and Silver Dollar City. Gabes the Bomb asks, what ride from abroad do you wish you could have at your home park that's outside of North America? Okay, so to be honest, the first thing that came to mind was Pirates of the Caribbean Battle for Sunken Treasure at Shanghai Disneyland. It's not a good fit for SeaWorld. I don't think that would make any sense, but my second home park or third home park, whatever, is Disneyland and Disney California Adventures, so obviously that would work there. I understand that they already have a Pirates of the Caribbean, but that ride just looks so cool, and I would love to have something like that close to home. Aussie Coaster Reviewer asks 3 questions. What's your favorite non-coaster YouTuber to start things off? And that is a question that I was really hoping someone would ask, because if you guys are into travel at all that is not related to roller coasters or amusements, I would highly suggest that you check out the channel Drew Binsky. Drew Binsky has been to almost every country in the world. I've been watching his videos for almost a year now, and his content is phenomenal. He travels to a bunch of places, shines some lights on a lot of countries that not many people get to go to. Second question is, what's the best and worst experiences you've had at amusement parks? So to be honest, answering what best experiences I've had is really difficult because I've had so many amazing park experiences. I've been to some great places with so many awesome friends and so many amazing people, and so that one's just impossible to answer, but I think maybe sometime down the line I'll have a video about my top 10 amusement park experiences or something like that. I can, however, answer the worst experiences you've had at an amusement park question, which would definitely be Castles and Coasters, which is a park I just got to recently. It's been on my list for a while because it's one of the closest parks to my house that I've not been to. It's located in Phoenix, Arizona. I like to nickname that park COVID and Coasters because the biggest issue with that place is that they do not give a crap about COVID. I've had many people say that, if you aren't expecting a safe environment, then don't go. But the thing is, I was expecting a safe environment because on their website, website, it literally says masks are required. Or I guess not anymore, they actually lifted the mask requirement. But at the time of my visit, it was supposed to be enforced. It said many times on the website that, yeah, it was going to be enforced and all that stuff. It reassured me. So when I went and found that there was so few people wearing masks, I was quite pissed. And last one from him, if you can go to only 3 non-American parks, what would they be? The 3 that immediately come to mind is 1 Tokyo Disney Sea, 2 Europa Park, and 3 Phantasialand, in no particular order, but those 3 look absolutely incredible. Front Row Coasters asks, are you planning any trips in 2022 as of right now? What's your favorite kiddie coaster? Have you ever gotten sick on a ride? And what do you use to edit your videos? So let's start from the top. I do have a trip planned for 2022. It's not set in stone or confirmed, but it is pretty big, and that is Japan and South Korea. I want to go with my brother. He's totally on board with it too. He's super excited. And to be honest, I would even go as far as to say that it's 100% confirmed that I will do that trip. I just can't promise that it'll be next year. It might be the year after or the year after that, but we are hoping for next year. It'd be really great to do that. What's your favorite kiddie coaster? I would probably say Cosmos Curves at Knoebels. I haven't really thought about that much, but Cosmos Curves is pretty damn intense for a kid's coaster. Have you ever gotten sick on a ride? So as far as I'm concerned, I don't think I've gotten sick on anything. I've definitely never thrown up. And what do you use to edit your videos? So I actually do not use anything fancy at all. I have a couple softwares on my desktop that I'll use from time to time, but when I'm like traveling and stuff and I need to make vlogs real quick, I'll literally just use iMovie on my phone. I know many people criticize that app and just say it's kind of stupid, but in my opinion, it's not the worst thing in the world, especially if you can work out the kinks and bugs, which I've done because I've been using the app on the low for years. But again, I use some others on my desktop from time to time. I don't really have one designated editor that I use consistently, but you know. B&M Fanboy asks, what is your favorite amusement park? There's 2 words in that question that stick out like a sore thumb to me and really differentiate the answer that I'm going to provide. It is favorite and amusement, because I define favorite and best differently, and also amusement and theme parks are not the same thing technically. If we're talking favorite amusement park, I think the best amusement park I've been to is Cedar Point. So if that's what you're asking, it's Cedar Point. But favorite might be Six Flags Magic Mountain. I absolutely love that park. The lineup there is amazing. There's so many things to do there, and I've been fortunate enough to have so many amazing memories from that place. Jacob Trozier asks, do you think Carowinds will RMC the Hurler, and what do you think the next coaster will be at Carowinds? So to be honest, I'm kind of surprised Hurler hasn't been RMC'd yet. I know that Cedar Fair and RMC have supposedly had some problems. I guess it's just a rumor though, it's not confirmed. But even then, I was kind of expecting RMC Hurler to occur before Copperhead Strike, honestly. But yes, I do think it'll eventually be RMC'd. I can't tell you how soon that'll be, and I think their next coaster might be like a modern GCI. I think that's a great idea for that park. Golfing Gamer says, do you think the new Vekoma Suspended Thrill Coaster or their new invert can overtake B&M inverts? So to be honest, B&M inverts have kind of fallen off in terms of production. There's not many getting built nowadays. I'm pretty sure the last was Monster at Gronalund, and then before that was Banshee at Kings Island. That's not nothing, but it's not a lot, and I think the STC could be mass produced. It doesn't seem like the most expensive thing in the world, and it's also just a great item to have in your park. So my answer to that question is maybe. I really don't know. Han Solo has 3 questions relating to Florida amusements. Firstly, what coaster are you more excited to get on, Velocicoaster or Iron Gwazi? So to be honest, I would say Iron Gwazi if it's open by June, but as of right now, my anticipation for Velocicoaster is sky high, especially because people, as of right now, when I'm recording this, have just ridden Velocicoaster and we're starting to hear amazing reviews. But I will say, I think Iron Gwazi will be a slightly better coaster. The layout is just jaw-dropping, even though Velocicoaster has that full package, which is also fantastic. He also asks, is the Tron ride at Disney World going to be good? And yes, absolutely. Tron looks amazing in China, so I'm sure it'll be great in Disney World. And also, is Busch Gardens the best coaster park in Florida? I would definitely say so. For coasters, I would say Busch Gardens is the best park in Florida. Kyle Betts asks, are you doing a Kings Island, Kentucky Kingdom Holiday World trip soon? So towards the beginning of the year, I was actually planning to do something a little bit like that, but because I have so many other travels going on now that are actually official, I do not know if I'll have time to do that this year. But if not this year, then definitely next year. Lateral Thrills asks, what is Hershey's place in terms of American amusement parks? Is Hershey Park an elite park with CP and Magic Mountain, or is it further behind? So in my opinion, I absolutely love Hershey Park. I think it's an incredible park, and I would say it's on that same level with Cedar Point and Magic Mountain. They have a phenomenal coaster lineup. It's a beautiful park. It's very well taken care of and managed, and overall, I would highly recommend a visit if you haven't been there. Hello, good friends, asks Conda or Iron Gwazi. I'm just gonna answer these. I'm not even gonna give explanations. I think Conda will be better. I think Conda could be the best coaster in the world. Pantheon or Velocicoaster? Pantheon, to be honest. How will Jersey Devil compare to the other coasters at Great Adventure? I think it'll place second or third. Best coaster in Poland? Probably Zadra. And Incredible Hulk or Revenge of the Mummy. So I haven't been on Hulk. I've been on Mummy in Hollywood, but I think you were talking about the Orlando versions. I'm guessing Hulk's going to be a slightly better ride, though. Mummy has the theming, but Hulk's layout looks great. The Quackens Coaster channel asks, will you be at Hollywood Nights this year? So I hate to break it to you guys, I will not be at Hollywood Nights this year. Again, I have so much planned, so I just can't find the time to do that, and I also don't have the money to do that because I'm putting my money into so many other travels, but I am hoping for next year or the year after for Hollywood Nights. Phoenix asks, how did you become an enthusiast? So that's a good question. It was actually because my brother literally forced me to go on California Screamin' years ago, and I loved the ride so much that I just lapped it over and over again and basically just fell in love with coasters from there. Lateral Thrills also asks, favorite manufacturer and why? My favorite manufacturer is probably Intamin. I think Intamin is amazing and they have the most insane portfolio of rides ever. RMC is also great, but they haven't been around for that long. I think they absolutely can overtake Intamin over time though. Boulder Dash Coaster R asks, what CCI coaster is your favorite? Surprisingly, with all the credits I have actually only ridden one CCI, and it's Boulder Dash at Lake Compounds. Well, unless you want to count like Ghostrider at Knott's, but I didn't get to ride the old version of that. I only rode the new one, so that's technically GCI to some. But I actually do prefer Boulder Dash to Ghostrider anyway, so that doesn't even matter. Boulder Dash is absolutely amazing. Highly recommended. So I don't know how to pronounce that symbol or name that you have, but you asked what amusement parks are you going to visit for the rest of 2021? So I have a ridiculously long list of parks that I might go to, and also a ridiculously long list of parks that I will for sure go to. But in terms of trips that are completely confirmed and have mostly been paid for, I am going to Mexico at the end of this month, and I think you can expect like what parks I'll be going to in Mexico. There's not a lot there, but there are some pretty cool places. I'll also be in Orlando in June, and I'll be at almost every single Orlando park that month. And then just after, I will be heading to the East Coast, and I will be doing a huge trip on the East Coast. I will be going from the New England area all the way down to like the Carolinas and Tennessee and Virginia, so it's just going to be a crazy trip. I have a lot in store, you won't want to miss it. Make sure to stay tuned for the vlogs and the countdowns and all that stuff. Andrew Watts asks, what are your favorite movies? So like music, I'll watch just about any movies, and it's hard for me to pick favorites. I will say one of my favorites is Fantastic Mr. Fox. I absolutely love that film. I also really like Knives Out. That plot twist at the end is pretty cool and really made the movie for me. I also really like Lady Bird and Little Women as well. Civilian Satellite asks, which of your video series are you most proud of? So I already talked about my favorite video on the channel, but in terms of series, I would actually have to say my vlogs. And I know that's kind of funny because my favorite video is a compilation of all my vlogs, but my vlog series is really amazing to me because, like I said, it kind of shows how much I've grown over time, how much I've begun to travel more, and it's just really amazing to look back at some of those older vlogs today and realize how much things have changed and how crazy it is just to look back at that stuff. So for sure, I'd say my vlog series is what I'm most proud of on the channel. Pickle Plays asks, what's your first coaster credit? So I actually do not know for sure, but I think it's either Barnstormer at the Magic Kingdom or it's Gadget's Go Coaster at Disneyland. One of the two. Probably Barnstormer though. Thunderwolf asks, what's the first coaster you ever rode and do you like milk? So I just answered that first question, and do I like milk? Hell yeah, I like milk. Milk is awesome. It's one of my favorite drinks, to be honest. And last question on the community tab is Mind League Studios, who asks, what is your favorite roller coaster to ride at night? So that's a great question. I've ridden quite a few coasters that are a lot better at night than in the daytime. X2 comes to mind, but that ride's just amazing no matter when you ride it. But night rides on X2 are pretty damn surreal. I'd say one of the coasters that's the most different at night compared to the daytime, though, is Ghostrider at Knott's Berry Farm. Day rides are really good, but night rides are absolutely phenomenal. It's like you're in a different world for night rides. It's just crazy. The ride's hauling ass. It's out of control. It has no chill until you hit the final brakes, and it's just amazing. You guys have to check out a night ride on Ghostrider. It is unbelievable. It is a must-do when you're at Knott's, and I can't recommend it any more than that. So that's going to do it for the Instagram and community tab questions. I do still have that YouTube video I told you guys to comment on any questions you may have, and that has so many questions on it, so I'm not going to go over that now. Instead, I think I'm going to teleport to tomorrow and answer them then. So I'm going to snap my fingers, and I'm literally just going to appear and answer those questions for you guys. 3, 2, 1. Alright guys, we have teleported to a new day. It's been approximately 24 hours since I last recorded the last few clips. And today I'm going to be reading the bulk of all the questions and comments from the YouTube video I uploaded with that thumbnail that said comment for Q&A. Last time we did all the questions and comments from Instagram and the community tab, but the fact that we weren't even close to finishing is actually insane. Again, this is where the bulk of all the questions were, and I'm pretty sure the video's already gone on for like 15-16 minutes at this point, maybe even more, so let's just get right into it and stop wasting time. Taj Williams asks, what's your favorite B&M coaster? I think currently it's Leviathan at Canada's Wonderland. What an awesome ride, but I will be riding Fury 325 later this year, and I'm sure that'll overtake Leviathan. Randall Heller asks, what's the roughest coaster you've ever ridden? So I just made a video about this, but if you didn't watch it, the answer was Blue Streak at Conneaut Lake Park. That thing jackhammers you like crazy. Ahmed Abdal says, do you support Muslim Lives Matter? 100%. Why is that even a question? Why? Skylar Johnson asks, Tom or Tess? Oh man, that's a difficult one. For those of you unaware, those are her two cats. She actually sent the footage that you're looking at now of her cats. So while Tess is absolutely chill, Tom is just a legend and a very meme-worthy cat, and I'm gonna have to say Tom just because of that. RCT2 Nerd asks, have you ever played Roller Coaster Tycoon 2? I have never played that game, but I used to love playing Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 in my free time. Liam Brake asks, thoughts on the Ultimate at Lightwater Valley? Yeah, that ride looks really unique and really cool, and I hope it reopens because I would love to get on it at some point. Brian Boger asks, if you were to make content on anything other than amusement parks, what would it be? So I kind of touched on this yesterday, but absolutely it would be travel, no question about it. Samantha Rozepko asks, am I your biggest fan? I don't know, are you? Mr. McNugget asks, what is the farthest park away from San Diego that you've been to? For those of you who don't know, I live in San Diego, California, and I think the farthest park I've been to right now is like Lake Compounce. I looked on Google Maps because I was curious about this same thing, and apparently Lake Compounce is several hours further away from me than like Canada's Wonderland, which I've also been to. Toby Crazy 76 asked, what is the roller coaster that you've ridden and you were unhappy with? So I wouldn't exactly use the word unhappy to describe this, but I kind of assumed that you're talking about like what coaster have you ridden that's overrated. And two come to mind. The first is Magnum XL 200 at Cedar Point, and then the second one is Yukon Striker at Canada's Wonderland. Both are really fun rides. I still absolutely enjoy them, but they are definitely overrated, no question about it. Coast Tunes asks, listen to any music. So as I said yesterday, I'll listen to just about any music, as long as it's not country. No offense to any of my country lovers out there, but I like anything but country, basically. Thrill King asks, Carowinds or King's Dominion? So as you guys know, I have not been to Carowinds yet, but I will be going this year, and I have been to King's Dominion, but I still think Carowinds looks like a slightly better park. It's actually really close, and so I completely understand why you asked the question, but Carowinds just has such a good lineup, especially it's super top heavy with Fury and Copperhead Strike and Intimidator and Afterburn, and especially because Volcano is removed from King's Dominion, so I definitely think Carowinds. Tremless Thrill says, if you could exchange one ride at Cedar Point for any other ride of the same type, what coaster would it be? So I don't know if the other ride has to be operational, because if I could change one for another, it would probably be Iron Dragon for something like Eagle's Fortress at Everland. If not, Corkscrew for Viper at Magic Mountain. That would be so awesome. My stepdad Hugh Rothman asks, so what is your favorite Uncle Bernie's coaster? There is just so much to choose from that park, but if I have to choose one, I'll probably go with the X2. Absolutely crazy ride. I almost died on it. Great question from Connor Millstone. We've got, have you ever been to any New England parks? And if so, what parks? And what is your favorite ride? If not, what rides are you looking forward to getting around to? So last year, I did get to go up to Lake Compounce in Quasi. I unfortunately had to miss out on Six Flags New England because, as you guys know, it was not open yet because of COVID. But this year, they are reopening, and I'm hoping to get up to Six Flags New England this year. So while it's currently Boulder Dash, which is an absolutely amazing ride, I am expecting it to change either to Wicked Cyclone or Superman the Rat, depending on which one I like more. Antonio Prito says, how would you rank the Six Flags park you have been to, and also what was the most disappointing and surprising coasters you've been on? So we'll start from the top. Six Flags parks I've been to ranked. I'm going to make a video on this when I get around to more, but as of right now, I've actually only been to 4, but of course I'm getting to so many more this year. The way I'd rank them is 4 Over Texas, 3 Great Adventure, 2 Fiesta Texas, and 1 Magic Mountain. And as far as my most disappointing and surprising coasters, I would say disappointing would be Magnum at Cedar Point, and surprising would be Gale Force at Playland's Castaway Cove. CC Nelson asks, if you could only drink one thing for the rest of your life and it had to be a sauce, what would you choose? What the kind of question is that? I actually have no idea. Probably like Chick-fil-A sauce, I don't know. X-Coaster Enthusiast has a whole list of questions for me. Number 1, which park that doesn't have a B&M Hyper do you think will benefit the most from it? I'd say California's Great America, Knott's Berry Farm, or Dollywood, or something like that. Number 2, which park in the US do you think will get the first next-gen Vekoma thrill coaster? That is an excellent question. I could probably make a video out of that. It honestly just depends on what chains would be willing to work with Vekoma again. Like, I'd hope for something for like King's Dominion or some Six Flags park, but there's really no way of telling at all. Number 3, highest bucket list city. So this is going to be completely unrelated to coasters, but probably one of the great cities of Europe, like Prague in the Czech Republic, or Brussels in Belgium, or Vienna in Austria, something like that. Just anything with a crazy amount of architecture and cathedrals and stuff like that. Number 4, highest bucket list country. Another great question. It's going to sound really random, but I'd probably go with Bhutan. It's a country that I've learned a lot about from Drubinski, which is that travel channel I mentioned yesterday. It's sandwiched in between India and China, but it's just the most interesting little country I've ever seen. Number 5, would you rather take a European megatrip or an Asian megatrip? While the continent of Asia definitely intrigues me slightly more than Europe, I would probably say Europe just because it's likely a lot cheaper and easier to get from country to country, whereas with Asia you would just have to fly around everywhere. Europe has a bunch of public transportation, and you could rent a car and drive through the whole continent if you want to. Number 6, most underrated coaster you've been on, like I mentioned just a little bit ago, GeForce at Playland's Castaway Cove. Number 7, most GP thing a relative of yours said. Awesome question, but I can't really think of anything right now, so I'm gonna actually just skip over this one. Number 8, do you play any coaster-related video game? If so, which one? Like I said before, I used to play a bit of Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, not so much anymore, I'm just a lot more busy, but it is a great game and I highly recommend it. It's really easy to use and it's a lot of fun. Coaster Key also has a ton of questions. Number 1, what do you want to do to stay relevant and original in this community? To be honest, I'm not the most original guy in the world. I actually take a lot of ideas from other channels. Not all of them, but you know, some. And to stay relevant, I don't know. I guess I kind of go unique sometimes. I know I just said I'd take some ideas, but I also have some really unique ideas from time to time that no one else would think of doing. Especially in relates to a lot of countries that not many people talk about for coasters. What is your credit count? I think it's 241 right now, but it's going to skyrocket in a bit. Disney or Universal? I'm personally more of a Disney guy. Do you think dark rides are overrated? Absolutely not. I think they're underrated if anything, and I would actually take a good dark ride over a good coaster any day of the week. Lift hills or launches? Definitely launches. Whose videos do you want to be in the most? Like, if you could collab with anyone in the community, who would it be? I have to put some thought into that. I'm not just going to blurt out any names because that could probably get me somewhere, and I'm not totally mentally prepared for that right now. Are you a sports fan? I'm actually not, interested in sports at all, unfortunately. I know a lot of other coaster enthusiasts are, but I'm not one of them. Bucket list parks in Asia, Tokyo Disney Sea, Chimelong Ocean Kingdom in China. I could really go on and on forever. There's so many parks in Asia that pique my interest. Most underrated coaster model? That's a great one. I'd probably say one of the B&M models that not many people are fond of in the community. Think the floorless coaster, the stand-up coaster, because a lot of people criticize the floorless coasters for being forestless, and also a lot of people criticize the stand-up coasters for being uncomfortable, but not all of the rides of those models are like that. Most anticipated European park? I would definitely say Phantasialand for me. Most underrated park? As of right now, I would say SeaWorld San Antonio. I had a great time there. Silver Dollar City or Dollywood? I have not been to either yet. I'm hoping to change that this year. I'm gonna guess Silver Dollar City though. Carolina Enthusiast asks, do you prefer stand-ups or floorless coasters? What are the odds? We were literally just talking about both of those models. I would say floorless coasters slightly because there's just more diversity in that model, but stand-ups are also very underrated as well. Intamin Fanboy has another really long list of questions. Guys, you're killing me. What is your credit count? I've answered this a million times. 241, but that'll change a lot soon. What is your number one Vekoma SLC and Boomerang? I think the only SLC I've ridden right now is Flight Deck at Canada's Wonderland, so that I guess. And out of the Boomerangs I've ridden, a Sidewinder at Hershey Park is the smoothest and most enjoyable one. Also, the one at Lake Compound is not bad at all either. What is the farthest you've ever gone out of your way to ride a kiddie credit? So the truth is, I do not go that far out of my way to ride kiddie coasters. Maybe like the one in Las Vegas at that mini Grand Prix place. That was like 25 minutes out of the way, but there was a really cool Mexican restaurant near it that we went to, so it wasn't that much of an inconvenience. Also, what looks to be the best coaster in Japan, the UK, Germany, and China. For Japan, it looks to be Eejanaika at Fuji-Q Highland. Looks like a ride I would totally be into. It's also my number one bucket list coaster in the world. For the UK, I think Nemesis at Alton Towers. For Germany, probably Expedition GeForce at Holiday Park. And in China, I'd say Dinoconda at China Dinosaurs Park, which is very, very similar to Eejanaika. What are your thoughts on Velocicoaster? It looks amazing, especially after hearing all the reviews from recent. Apparently, it has a lot of surprising lateral and airtime moments, and I cannot wait to ride that thing. What is the most painful coaster you've been on? I haven't really found too much pain on that many coasters I've ridden. Maybe Time Warp at Canada's Wonderland. It wasn't really painful, but it was super uncomfortable. What coaster is high on your bucket list but looks god-awful but you want to ride it because of its uniqueness? That one is so incredibly easy for me to answer. It's Desperado at Buffalo Bills. No one's ridden that ride, and it's super unique just because of the fact that it circles around the whole hotel and casino. Plus, it's an aero hyper, and those are slowly dying out. I hear it's really bad, but I would still love to ride it if it ever reopens. How do you hold your restraint up on RMC trains, mainly Twisted Colossus? I'm usually always able to get room on Twisted Colossus. Not so much on like Steel Vengeance, but on Twisted Colossus, I just use my shins to push them against the restraint, and I usually end up with some room. And what is your most unpopular amusement theme park opinion? I think it's gotta be that Magnum is the most overrated coaster I've ridden. I don't know, guys, I just think it's not that great. Freddie Taylor asks, when Knott's adds a new coaster, where do you think it'll be located and what will it be? Great question. I think they will expand Ghost Town, to be honest. I think that'd be so cool. I don't know exactly how they're gonna do it, and I would love to see something like Maverick, like an Intamin Blitz. If they ever start working with Intamin again, then that would be so amazing. Dark Phoenix 600 asks, what's your favorite coaster from each chain? Example, Six Flags, Cedar Fair, SeaWorld, and Universal. Just to keep things short, I'm just going to go over the chains that you mentioned. For Six Flags, I would say El Toro at Six Flags Great Adventure. For Cedar Fair, Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point. SeaWorld, currently Mako at SeaWorld Orlando, but when I get around to riding Iron Gwazi and Pantheon, hopefully this year, then I think that'll change. For Universal, I'd say currently it is Revenge of the Mummy because I've literally been to one Universal park as of recent, but that'll definitely change when I ride Velocicoaster this June. So I don't even know how to pronounce this next guy's name, so I'm not even going to try, but he asks, are you ever planning to visit the Netherlands? 100%, I would love to visit the Netherlands. It looks like an amazing country with amazing people, and the culture is really interesting. I think Dutch culture sounds awesome, and also the parks look amazing. Max Hagner asks, if you were to un-RMC any coaster, or take an RMC and transform it back into the Woody it was, which would it be? That is a very difficult question to answer, but I'm going to go ahead and say Joker at Discovery Kingdom. The ride looks amazing, but the thing is that Roar was not really even a bad ride to begin with, and also I think Six Flags America could use the RMC treatment more on their Roar. I think the park would benefit much more than Discovery Kingdom in all honesty. Samantha Rezepko says, who's your favorite YouTuber and is her name Samantha Rezepko? What would have been funnier is if you said, who's your favorite YouTuber and why is her name Samantha Rezepko? Because then you'd leave me no choice. But no, actually her vlog is like the funniest vlog I've ever watched in my life. Lucas Hopkins asks, how many credits do you have? Have you ever been to Cedar Point? Are you in high school or college? And if so, where do you go? So I'm not going to tell you what high school I go to because I don't know who would do that. But I can answer the other things. I have 241 credits right now and I have been to Cedar Point twice. Hangtime Chills has a couple questions. First, we have favorite and least favorite independent park. Favorite independent park is undoubtedly Hershey Park, but it's closely followed by Knoebels. Both are amazing. Least favorite independent park? Probably Conneaut Lake Park. The place is a dump. I hate to say it. What country looks most intriguing for a coaster trip in your opinion? Definitely China. They have some of the most intriguing parks and coasters that is very undocumented, and I would love to check them out someday. Do you count coaster credits? If so, how many do you have? Okay, I'm not going to repeat the credits anymore. I've said it like a million times, but yes, I do count coaster credits. Favorite non-coaster YouTuber? I answered this one already, but it's Drew Binsky. Golfing Gamer says, what is the best roller coaster you've ridden that could be removed in the near future? Another great question. I'd say Viper at Six Flags Magic Mountain comes to mind because that ride is absolutely amazing and it never has a line and it's obviously hard to maintain because it's an Arrow and they're out of business. But yeah, it could be as busy as can be and it'll never have a line. Hard Gaming NL says, if you don't take COVID into account, are you planning a trip to Europe? Also, greetings from the Netherlands. Well, it's great to see that I have some viewers from Europe. That's awesome. And 100% I'll be going to Europe at some point in the future. I can't tell you when that'll be, but I'll be there. I don't know how to pronounce your name, so I'm not even going to try, but hello from Brazil. That's really cool that I have viewers from Brazil. Quite a few questions from you. We're going to start with, what is your favorite country for roller coasters other than the US? So I personally have not been to too many countries, but I'd say China looks to be the best. Also, what coaster in Asia intrigued you the most? I would say Dueling Dragons at Guangzhou Sunik Land. It's a ride that's very undocumented in this community, and it looks absolutely interesting. Also, what coaster in Europe intrigued you the most? Either Schwur Kärnan at Hansa Park or Ride to Happiness at Plopsaland Japan. What coaster in America intrigued you the most? That one's a bit trickier because I've actually already ridden a lot of intriguing American coasters. Maybe Desperado at Buffalo Bills though, as I mentioned. And what is your top 5 bucket list parks and coasters? Congratulations and thanks. I already have videos for those, so I'm not going to answer those, but thank you for the questions and we're going to move on now. King of Coasters says, what is your favorite roller coaster soundtrack? Love from Israel. Really awesome that I have a lot of international viewers. So I haven't heard these soundtracks in person, but the Terran and Taiga soundtracks are absolutely incredible scores by Imascore. Anne Grouse says, would you rather see Six Flags purchase Cedar Point or Cedar Fair purchase Kennywood? So to be honest, I don't care much about what happens to Kennywood. As you guys know, it's one of my least favorite major parks. So Cedar Fair could absolutely purchase Kennywood and transform it into a better park, whereas Six Flags purchasing Cedar Point could be a disaster. So definitely the latter option. Robin Baxter asks, will you ever do a UK trip? 1000% I'll go to the UK. It sounds like an awesome country with some really cool architecture. It seems really beautiful and a lot of awesome amusements there. So before we continue, I just wanted to apologize for any background noise you guys may hear and may continue to hear. I don't know what's going on next door, but I think my neighbors are literally insane. Like Yo, what the So we're going to continue on the best we can, starting with Genezi, who says, if you could change one thing about your favorite coaster, what would it be? So as you guys know, I define favorite and best coasters differently. My favorite coaster currently is Top Thrill Dragster at Cedar Point, but the best coaster I've ridden is Steel Vengeance. If I could change one thing about it, I would say to always have it trimless. I've personally never had a problem with the mid-course on that ride, and it's never trimmed my train more than a couple taps. But for the sake of other people, and for the sake of my future experiences with Steel Vengeance, I would say definitely fix up that mid-course issue. Bryce Games asks, do you plan to take a trip outside of the US? Absolutely, I'm literally doing it this month. Coasterland says, I have a question I legit wonder about. Did you actually meet Sam, aka Wooden Warrior Girl? You guys seem to have a fun YouTube thing going on. Yeah, so the reason I'm so friendly towards her is because she's literally one of my closest friends in the world. I visited her last year. I did a trip with her as well as Skylar, who's another friend of mine. And we're doing another trip this summer throughout the East Coast. Mr. Haymaker says, what is your top 3 bucket list coasters you want to go on in the UK? In no particular order, I would say it spans between Nemesis and Smiler at Alton Towers, along with Odyssey at Fantasy Island. MNJYG says, have you always been a coaster enthusiast or did it recently happen? No, I've actually been an enthusiast for several years now, and I don't know anyone that's always been an enthusiast because I don't know anyone that was born an enthusiast. But I understand what you're saying, and no, it was actually not that recent at all. Sky's the Limit asks, what's your favorite Cedar Point ride? It's Steel Vengeance for me. Well, I guess favorite and best are different. Favorite is Dragster, best is Steel Vengeance, just to clarify. MNL2 Contriver says, what do you believe is the most overrated roller coaster you've been on? Also, congrats once again. Thank you, I'm a big fan of your channel. Most overrated coaster, as I've mentioned, is Magnum at Cedar Point, and thanks for the support. Colin R asks, what's your favorite fast food restaurant and what's your go-to there? My favorite fast food is Shake Shack. I absolutely love that stuff. It's really bad for you, but I love the food so much. And I don't have a go-to option because I'm always trying different things at Shake Shack, particularly the different milkshakes. Coaster Keychain asks, what's your favorite indoor coaster? Currently, it's Canyon Blaster at the Adventure Dome, which is an absolute powerhouse and one of the most underrated coasters I've ever ridden. Mr. Cola Roaster says, congrats on 5,000 subscribers. You deserve it. Thank you so much. If you can go to one new country for coasters, what would it be? I would probably go with Germany. What's a theme park you think could benefit most from a new standout coaster? Literally any of the lesser talked about Six Flags or Cedar Fair parks. What coaster have you been on the most? Okay, that's a great question. It's actually Manta at SeaWorld San Diego, which is my home park, and I've been on it somewhere in the 300s. What's the most overrated and underrated theme park you've been to? Most overrated is probably Kennywood, and most underrated is SeaWorld San Antonio. And lastly, what new for 2021 coasters are you hoping to ride this year? So the only thing holding me back from riding them is if they're actually open, but it would be Pantheon, Iron Gwazi, and Jersey Devil. CC Nelson asks, were you ever afraid of coasters? If so, what coaster got you over your fears? So absolutely, I think everyone was afraid of coasters at some point, but basically my brother just pushed me to go on California Screamin' at California Adventure, as I mentioned yesterday, and that's what got me over my fear of coasters. Liam Moriarty says, what upcoming roller coaster outside of the US are you most excited for? I would say it's between Conda at Wallaby Belgium and Toutoutis at Parc Asterix. Otek Million says, if you were going to do a Europe trip, what 5 parks would you want to visit the most? Excellent question. I would choose Phantasialand and Europa Park in Germany, as well as Efteling in the Netherlands, also Energylandia in Poland, and we'll say Liseberg in Sweden. What's your favorite part about that? Mine is that it's powered by a tractor engine.
My favorite part about that is that it's powered by a tractor engine.
And to end things off, the last question, or I guess it's a comment. This is like the weirdest comment in the whole video. How do you feel that a fish deciding to go onto land is in a way responsible for you getting 5,000 subscribers? What? But yeah, I have absolutely no idea what that means. Well, what an interesting second day of the Q&A. I had a lot of fun though, a lot of great questions, and I loved interacting with you guys. Thank you all so much for the support. It's really amazing to me that we've grown so much as a community. We've literally gone from 1,000 to 5,000 subscribers in what, 4 months, 5 months, maybe even less? I don't know, something crazy, and I'm just so grateful. So again, thank you all so much for making this a reality. I hope you guys enjoyed the Q&A, and I hope it was an ounce of appreciation for me giving back to you guys for this crazy milestone. So yeah, with that all said and done, I hope you guys enjoyed once again, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye, guys.